Hi, everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and passion pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. I kicked this off and totally forgot how any of this stuff works. That was fun. I just hit go. Like, I just walked in here and hit go and forgot to set up any of the production and anything. So you guys got to see a doofus staring at a camera for a second there. But tonight, we kick off our West Coast trip. We're gonna get some storylines that should be fun, right? We got Todd McLellan return. We got the John Gibson return. We get to see the Mitch Marner Golden Knights along the way. Should be and a Macklin Celebrini pop up on the schedule. That should be fun. Hopefully, what you kind of look at here with these West Coast trips, and I think we'd all agree, just chalk up 4 points and you're more than happy. Anything less, I'm still not super bummed. Anything more than that, you're thrilled. You were just to the moon. I mean, you're talking about an LA Kings team that before the season started, I think we were all in agreement. The Kings had a much worse off roster with Ken Holland's first go. And then Anaheim was one of those teams that was kind of like a fun pick to sneak into the playoffs. San Jose, they're fun. They were a fun pick to go to the playoffs. Like a lot of pundits had out there for the Ducks, but they're fun to watch because Macklin Celebrini he's a hell of a talent. Golden Knights, that scares me. That's one where the Golden Knights would look at the schedule and decide that they need to punish us. And I'm not excited for that punishment. But for now, I am alone. Mike got stuck in traffic. He's on his way. So yeah, you guys are my co-hosts today. So what better time to jump into the comments right from the beginning of the show? Brian, what is going on? Brian just wanted to say, let's roll Red Wings. Brian's been throwing that out there. If you guys don't know, love seeing it. This is, we have to chalk. I would say, Brian, you get 60% of the credit, for these 7 wins so far through 10 games. Eisel throws out there, Corey Eisel. You used to stay up for all these games. Now it's a miracle I'm awake for the start. Yeah, I got to be honest. You guys were here for the start of the show. If you were, you saw me just staring at the camera, forgot to do any of the production. I am sleepy. I am ready for bed right now. And it's 9:06. I think the Wings game, what is it, 10:30 start tonight? It's not even 10 o'clocker. Oh, man. I'm praying for a blowout just so that I can start to doze off in the first period. And I don't know if I'm going to be super bummed depending on which way that blowout goes. I am just so tired. Performance art, good to see you. He's happy. He made it. Holy smokes. Also from Performance Art, go Jays. Brian throwing out there, I am awake. I am present. Brian, good to see. I know that first comment we got from you was back at 4:30. I think you were chalking up. You'd already be in bed. You'd be catching some Z's. Corey throwing out there, gotta love the late games. Brian, when is Kane coming back to play? He didn't make the trip, so at this point, no Kane for the first 2 games, right? Like they're not going to sneak him in on a back-to-back. So you got to kind of keep your fingers crossed for that. I'm running through the schedule again. So San Jose's up after the back-to-back. So our first game in November. But my guess would be no Kane on this West Coast trip. And now we're starting. I think now, since we are fans of the NHL, this is the point where you're like, okay, I don't really know what's going on here. And the longer this goes without those, like, he's practicing, he's in, full practice setup. And I honestly could not begin to tell you what's going on with Patrick Kane health wise. Like I don't even get to make a guess And I know we always get like the upper body, lower body, but sometimes there's things we can point to. I'm not going to, I can't even, I have no idea. And just the fact that I feel in the dark, the fact that Kane's old, the fact that he hasn't been like perfectly healthy, but relatively pretty lucky health-wise at his age. Like, this happening now has been one of those things that I've chalked up as like a fear these last couple of seasons with Kane in the lineup. And it's just like, when is it going to stop being lucky? And I'm just, gosh, I'm so scared. Performance art. Kane's retired. Oh God. Brad, where does that LA's home games need some work? So hopefully staying up is worth it. Hey, Ken Holland, like I mentioned, did a great job destroying that defense in LA. So we'll see what happens. They're the only game I'm, I would look at this schedule and feel like we're gonna get spanked. And I don't even mean like the Wings are bad. I mean, obviously we've seen a team that is they've struggled to get up. We had that. We're going to talk about the comeback win after a couple of bad losses, but the comeback win against the Blues. But I think getting into that Blues game, and we could start to make the transition here. But I would say for the most part, we're that team that was in the second half of the Blues game. Todd just seems to like slowly be piecing this together with these players and like what it's going to take to get them going from puck drop in the first period. I don't say that Todd's been doing a bad job in any way. I think he's a smart man. I think he's going about this the right way. I think we're going to talk about this timeout that happened in the second period against the Blues when it was 4-0 and seemed to turn everything around. I think Todd's going to get this worked out. I think like the structure of this team, the strategy is actually going to start to expand into like the language that is greeting those players when they walk into the locker room after their little nap time before opening skate. Which I love to hear about, by the way, all the time in the NHL, that these grown men have nap time before the game starts. But anyway, back to my point. I think Todd McLellan's going to start to figure out, like, what does this language need to be in the locker room? Because the point before I started talking about Todd getting this figured out from a language standpoint and from a message standpoint, before puck drop, I think we are that team in the second half of that Blues game. I think it's just about figuring out who are the players that do believe in this system, do believe in this team, and want to push it forward. And are there players that can sort of be pushed into that space if you're not recognizing that? Are there players that maybe got sent down? I actually enjoyed watching them, who got sent down to Grand Rapids that maybe weren't getting off on the hop like they should have been. But we'll get into it. I think one of those guys might have been Simon Edvinsson. Let's get into it. Let's start talking about these games. But yeah, Brad, I'm right there with you. Hopefully things turn out pretty well tonight. Let's get rid of the theme song. Where's my slides? There they are. Woo! There. I like this view better. I feel like when I'm like, we're focused in that area. I've got this silly overlay up here. This just works better. All right. Dan B just woke up from his pregame nap for the West Coast game. Hey, there you go, Dan. Hey, we're in sync here. Are you burner account for one of these boys? Just getting up for your pregame nap. Brad, staring at the camera never came through on my YouTube feed. That is great to know, because I felt like an ass. Dan B throwing out there. Anybody on the fantasy hockey league? Tage Thompson, Don Lean. He's putting them out there. Go for it, boys. Where are we at? Brad, Blues game is pretty solid still, but St. Louis is on the struggle bus right now, so we shall see. Danby, Bergeron, Rasmussen, Hall for Byfield. Pick Kenny's pocket, Steve. Oh God, I love these trade ideas that you guys have sometimes. Dan, I know you're kidding. Holy mackerel. Yeah, just kind of coming up with a who's who here of who's been disappointing for us on a pretty successful start to the season. But talk about starts. And I wish Mike was here so we could get into what my notes actually say here. We're gonna have a Red Wings rant breakdown by Matt and Mike, but that's not happening right now. It's just Matt. But we're gonna jump into from booze to belief. Yeah, like I was talking about, this is a crazy game. This a lot of this credit goes to Todd McLellan. Booed off home ice to end the first period. You're down 2-0. Then another couple goals in, and we have this expletive laced wake up call. It's the timeout. You have the video of this timeout is just pure gold. This is, if you haven't seen it, Todd McLellan basically covering his mouth through this entire thing. Ken Daniels brings up and talks through the replay on this McLellan rant through the timeout. And it's just like, Todd knows, hey, this is a family show. Hockey, it's a family show. So Todd knows to just cover that mouth. We don't need anybody reading his lips. So he gets through that rant, and this team turns things around. The guy I mentioned before, Simon Edvinsson, has been struggling a bit. He's been calling himself out to the press. Always, you know what? I respect that. Always respect that when dudes come out there and they're like, you know what? I'm the guy that's playing like shit. But he turns around, puts a couple in, one of them an empty netter, but of course the game winner to make it 5-4. Great job by Edvinsson on that one. Like I think this just is starting to spin this story is like there's a team here, there's a roster that can get shit together. But this is really one of these stories, and we started talking about it last week, and I really wish we could get Mike in here to continue on his points, but he started this conversation, and we pulled this out as one of our clips from last week's episode. Did very well. We got a lot of positive response from y'all. But he started the comment with easily, Dan Campbell might be the best head coaching figure we've ever seen in Detroit sports, especially taking a franchise like the Lions and turning it into not just a very watchable team, but built a system that the pillars start with grit and building a culture through grit on the structure. So it's just one of those things that maybe it doesn't have to be that way for every team in Detroit to be built the same way Dan's doing it. But you could see Todd, and we've talked before the season even started, some of the drills that were called out by Ansar Khan. I remember this was one of the first things that I went like, what the heck's going on? But Khan threw out there from MLive, like he saw a drill in practice of guys getting paired up and trying to win battles against the boards, right? That's fine to get the muscle memory. That's fine to get the victories, get competitive. But that drill sends a message too. That drill says what is the most important thing to Todd. I think nice, easy one. Winning puck battles for sure. But the other one is what Todd wants them to focus on. And I think when you get down to it and you see when this team is most successful, I want to come down to this last point, and this is where we're transitioning to, is locking stuff down and suppressing the shot and the value of every shot. Those high danger shots, the medium danger shots, bringing those back. And you know what? Giving up offense in the spaces that your goaltender will be successful is kind of what we're seeing. We talked about it a week ago too. This penalty kill They were top 3 in the league for Corsi against volume, like just the most amount of volume given up on the penalty kill from a Corsi perspective. Flip that, go to the expected goals against on the penalty kill, and that's basically what we're talking about here. Is what are you pulling back on? So you're flipping this and saying maybe let's say you're one of the worst in the league from what you're giving up, but you're actually one of the best. So the volume isn't there. You're suppressing the shot value. Every shot that's coming is a little bit lower, and that's incredibly important when you talk about a team that you could look at and measure all of these teams in so many different ways with puck possession and throwing the puck at the net with those Corsi statistics. But essentially, those expected goal statistics are where we're saying this is how many times the puck was thrown at the net, but how many times was that shot a real scoring chance? Was the other team in danger in giving up a goal? And they are doing the job. And I do 100% want to talk about later on in this show. We'll talk about those John Gibson save percentages and the Talbot save percentages. Basically, we're not turning in a performance that's like PDO heavy, but we're still 7-3. I don't even really want to harp on Gibson and Talbot too much, but one of the reasons their save percentages are so low is we're asking like this defense to just prevent anything from getting to the net. So those save percentages are going to suffer, but the goals against averages, they look good. You want to start asking Gibson, and we'll talk about this too. You want to start seeing Gibson and Talbot turning things around from goals saved above expected. So trying to allow less goals than what the expected goals number says. That's not what's happening. So you know what? I'm really caught off guard. Jared just threw out there. Matt doesn't know we all have him on mute. You know what? I just had that thought and I was like, it would be hilarious if my mic was not working this entire time. I am mic-less, so it only makes sense. The mic's not working. I don't know. What's the over-under on like Mike actually showing up? Because we've had this situation before, right? Mike tells me he's running late. Now he's running late for 9:00. That to me, I was thinking like 9:05, like 9:10. That's 9:20. You know who came up with the idea of 9:00? Mike. That's right. Mike came up with that idea. Jared needs a producer. I know. I don't have any money. I can't afford to pay you. All right. So I love you guys. All right. Brad throws out there $5. Mike shows up within 10 minutes. I'm taking that. Brad, let's do it. All right. If he doesn't show up in 5 minutes, I get $5 because that's where I'm at. So you're saying he has to show up within the next 10 minutes and you get $5. I will take that bet all the live long day. He might even be watching right now and he's like throwing, he's getting up from his couch right now. And now he's going to sign in just to make sure Brad gets some dough. All right. Brad's landed on that 10 minutes. Jared throws out there, pay me in bobbleheads. Yeah, apparently Mike, let's have a Mike rant episode because Mike still owes Jared some bobbleheads. And I was like, Mike, just give me the bobbleheads. I will send them to Jared. Still nothing. Was that 2 years ago, Jared? How long ago was that? Dan B, stay off 696 and 275. I don't know. I don't know where he's coming from. All right, so back to this Blues back-to-back, right? Second win. We're in St. Louis. I was actually thinking, too, before this game even started, I was like, all right, things will get flipped. We're back on the road. It was great to get that comeback win, but this to me was something really to put a stamp on. And I know it's a great call-out. Blues are struggling right now. Jordan Binnington, Oh my God. Talk about goals saved above expected and just letting that number go right in the shitter. Jordan Binnington's killing it. Um, but it is nice I mean, a home and home is difficult, and to get the second game in St. Louis, that other team, what an easy message to spin in the locker room before you get going. This is our house. We lock this down. Let's show this Detroit team that they're pretenders. We're a real team. We have boys on this roster that have gone to the playoffs and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, didn't happen. Wings win 5-2. This one was fun to watch. This was an opportunity too to see Larkin really take things into like a whole nother level. My man, the statistics that are getting brought up right now of how difficult his on ice time is, the competition he's facing, and still being able to find the time to build up scoring chances and make this first line pretty much run by Dylan Larkin, if you think about it, for the full season too. Even Lucas had some time not being in the first line, not only from injury, but just trying to mix up these lines a bit while Patrick Kane's out. I mean, the one constant has been Dylan Larkin will not slow down. He will just continue to score. That was really important to point out too. The power play seemed to look sharp again. It seemed to click. The passes, tape to tape, we were getting opportunities on net that just look like, hey, we're a real power play again. And I think that was really one of the first games since Patrick Kane had been out that I thought we really took control again on special teams and on the power play. Another thing that didn't hurt in that game, that Rasmussen play to Soderblom. I don't know if you guys like this is kind of like what's the word where it's seared. There we go. Seared onto my brain of how we define like Rasmussen being that beast, being the monster, using his body. And that's when he's using that body behind the net, creating space, creating a play based on him just saying like, no, this is my puck right now. I'm going to wait till somebody on my team gets open, or I'm just going to take this to the front and score. Obviously, we saw Soderblom get wide open in front of the net, or at least make it look like he's wide open because he's 6'8", and just pounding right behind Binnington. And for me, and watching that happen. Also, now I'm thinking about it. Was that Binnington? Hofer? Can't remember. Anyway, watching that happen, that was one of those moments where two things. Number one, you kind of hope this could build some momentum for somebody besides Dylan Larkin to start putting some points up, besides Emmett Finney. Another line on this team to build up some offense, or at least build some confidence and hold on the puck a little bit. But also unlocking Rasmussen and what he does best. And when we have like those, I don't know if you guys recall those faces of Rasmussen scoring goals these last couple of years, and he goes full like Jurassic Park T-Rex into the camera, and he just goes beast mode. He goes big Ras mode. That's where we need him to live 100% of the time. And I feel like every year he's got to work up to it. It would be wonderful for that to be the game that all gets unlocked. And look, we did all this again. John Gibson, solid, not spectacular, not the game changer, but certainly enough. And enough ain't bad because you're 7-3. So that's where we're at right now. We're at 7-3, and I think now we could start to dissect like what am I seeing? What are our boys? What's Max Bultman writing about? What's everybody seeing across the board? But also, what are you guys seeing? So the Wings have won both home and home so far, right? Toronto and St. Louis. Jared calling that out. Yeah, I called that out too. Like, what an ass I am to say, like, those are hard as hell. You don't win, especially when the second game is at home. Well, guess what? Wings did it twice so far. Of course, we go back. The conversation is Toronto got goalied, which Cam hasn't really kept that going for us. Cam Talbot's performance, of course, in Toronto against the Leafs. But still, no. I mean, Jared calls out a great point here, because this is something where you're kind of going against the grain on a couple of wins here. And not from a player perspective, coaching perspective, but just from like a happenstance perspective. Like, I am programmed to believe that a home and home is difficult, and this team now is undefeated in those home and homes, and both times had to win the second game on the road, and took care of it. And you really had to think too, like, St. Louis had to have those conversations about this, where it was like, we had them. We had them dead to rights. It was 4-0. We can beat them. They could have also been in the locker room after that game and getting ready for the game in St. Louis. Like, they're in Detroit, but they have to start like recalling, what are these pucks that are just bouncing from every angle just to get past Bennington? Like, this wasn't a real, like, they have to look at that and be like, this isn't a real win for a hockey team. They just got lucky 6 times. But again, like, that could have been like the easy dialogue being had in this locker room, but it wasn't enough. And Todd McLellan got those boys going. Hopefully, quick start tonight. Did want to call out too for the Blues game. Seider walking away with our best game score that night. Edvinsson following it up too, which is wonderful to see, because we have, again, been talking about getting Edvinsson going like previous, just like last year. I was going to say seasons, but of course we're talking about just last year. It is interesting. Edvinsson, Seider playing together. That was one of the first things that Todd McLellan did joining the team last Christmas, was he broke those guys up so that he could have more depth in his 3 defensive pairings. This might not last forever. I don't hate it. I mean, this happened, and there was a Ben Sherratt goal seen on the ice that night. I think it did happen with Seider on the ice, but Edvinsson getting some practice reps with Seider, getting game time with Seider. I think I don't hate it. And it might work just to get Edvinsson back on his game, and then we'll flip back to whatever we had before. But yeah, like I said, did not hate this decision at all. Where are we at? Dan B, 7-3. Raymond's still not 100% yet. I mean, there's a slide dedicated to our MVP candidate, Dylan Larkin. We'll talk about that in a second. But on top of Dylan and carrying that first line, and like you mentioned, Dan Lucas still not being at 100%. I think he's still performing at a point per game pace along with DeBrincat, which is awesome, by the way, to have point per game players, and Finney, who's sniffing that, but point per game players on both lines in your top 6 are really nailing it. I think, at some point in this episode, we're going to start talking about Marco Kasper and what do we do there. And is Nate Danielson going to start sniffing an opportunity here? Well, not soon, with Branson Nygaard getting sent back down to Grand Rapids. Who did we see get called up today? I'm going to have to look it up. Oh, poop. Somebody will throw it in the chat before I find it, but it wasn't exciting. So, but while I'm pulling this up, the other part of the story is just Dylan Larkin doing great, but we're establishing the McLellan standard, right? Like, that's Austin Watson. God damn it. Oh, thanks, Dan. Dan's in there. If you want to not be forgettable, just don't be forgettable. All right. But I like, this McLellan standard has to be established. And I think it felt like he calls that timeout, and your hope is that what the standard is going to be will just continue from here, right? And he kind of gave it some, language tied to it of like what he's seeing and just and it's obvious too, some of these words, but you can't be yo-yo like that. Proof is in the pudding. It has to show up over and over, which is ironic because like playing with a yo-yo is essentially a game of repetition and doing things over and over. But I digress. I know what Todd's saying there. We're saying we can't go up and come back down, up and down. Okay. I did really like this too. Practice between the two St. Louis Blues games. We could all put our guesses out there. Was it Simon Edvinsson? I couldn't remember what the timeline was, if Nygaard had already been sent down. But there was this moment, again, Ansar Khan reporting from MLive, this, where the fuck are you going? Stopping practice in a drill and calling out one of the players. Now, Ansar Khan said he couldn't figure out who it was. But that's a key moment, right? Like that's a teaching moment, especially for the guy who gets called out, but for the rest of the guys that are watching this. Like, the stuff isn't, you can't hide it. You're not going to get this stuff past Todd. And now at the same time, he sees a team that could make it to the playoffs. He's seen this team with two different sorts of personalities, and he's got to figure out how to get the real personality out, how to get the winning personality out and make that the standard. And I like that kind of stuff is happening in practice. I like that he goes hard on these guys, calling the timeout and talking so dirty. He's got to cover his mouth. Jared thrown out there, not a yo-yo, it's a carousel. Goes up and down and round and round. There's the 70s song with that lyric, right? Anyway, this rant turns in results, sharper communication, tighter puck support, emphasizing preparation and intensity between games. Like that, these are all like, this should just be music to all of our ears. This is something that hopefully the St. Louis game is proof that this stuff is going to start to click. But we've said it like every episode now. It's like, okay, but the real test comes up, and it's going to come up tonight. But one of the guys, I don't know, right? It's just right now, I'm wondering if in Ford Field against the Minnesota Vikings this weekend, if there should be a Dylan Larkin chant. Because, guys, I don't care. You say what you will. Make fun of me. This is an MVP start for Dylan Larkin, especially with having to drag that first line while Lucas Raymond is still hurt, while he was completely out of games. He's playing with a rookie who's performing quite well and also getting the toughest defensive assignments every night. And he's still managed so far these 16 points in 10 games, 8 games, 8 assists. I don't think you guys are going to need a ton of convincing, but this needs to be called out. We're at this point now. I want to hear Dylan Larkin chants the next game at Little Caesars Arena. We've got this West Coast trip. I don't care if he goes pointless on this West Coast trip. Dylan is playing, and I don't think he will, but Dylan is playing his nuts off. He wants, man, the role that he wants to play on Team USA this season. My man's gunning for top 6. Like no more of this fourth line bullshit for Dylan Larkin, who's aged out to he's like at his prime age at this point for his hockey smarts. He's learned enough, and he's still got some good, working muscles and bones. So this is it. This is going to be prime Dylan Larkin this year. And we've talked about it for years on this show, where we talk about the age curves and the plateaus. Larkin's hit that peak. This is it. This is supposed to be his highest producing season. This is it. And so far it looks that way. But yeah, guys, I'm going to be, God damn it. Camera, pick this up. If we aren't chanting Dylan Larkin or MVP at the next home game at Little Caesars Arena, you have all failed as a fan base. Get it together. All right. Dan Bede, not a Larkin chant. We want a D-Boss chant. Dan, if you can organize that, man, all the power in the world. Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen. Special guest, Charizard himself. Mike has entered the chat.
What's going on, everybody?
All right. I think Dad B, you owe me $5.
What was the bet?
That you were going to arrive in the next 10 minutes. That was 15 minutes ago, I believe. All right, Mike.
Sorry.
We've
Halloween
talked about,
waits for no man. Yeah.
We've talked about the Blues back-to-back wins against the Blues, the Todd McLellan effect. Now we're talking about, or the Todd McLellan standard, sorry. And now the MVP race that very early on, we're an eighth of the way through the season. Dylan Larkin is very much a part of. Mike, are we a failure as a fan base if we don't start hearing Dylan Larkin chants at the next Little Caesars Arena home game?
Big time cool. Failures. No. Well, we keep talking about what kind of team are we modeled after, right? Are we more along the lines of Montreal, right? Based on when they started making their push. Got a bunch of young, scrappy dudes. Maybe just this giant youth movement will kind of propel you forward. Or do you actually have the big dog, to go the Edmonton Oilers way and have, one or two players kind of carry you into relevance? I think
Emmett Finney, Dylan Larkin.
Bingo! Yeah. Who needs Draisaitl when you got the Finn man? Right for his way. Yeah, fin him up, Finny. Pew, pew. So that's where Larkin's kind of coming in because he's played so well. We've kind of talked about it tongue in cheek, but statistically, it's a pretty big sample now. You got an eighth of the season, 10 games. You've won 70% of them, and Larkin is far and away, been super duper productive and made his presence felt all over the ice. And now we are really getting yet another example of him being a star maker. This time with Mr. Finn, with the Finn man. So he makes everybody around him good enough that they can stick around on the first line. He's scoring more than a point a game. I don't know. Maybe he really likes this McLellan scolding him. Because McLellan has definitely given him an earful since he's been the head coach of the Red Wings. And we know Yzerman, once McLellan came in and made it okay, then Steve was suddenly like, yeah, Larkin, you should be better. Way to be a man, Steve, right after McLellan shows you how to do it. And Dade B thrown out there, this beautiful gem. The Finn is outscoring McDavid. Matt, Finney for McDavid, 1-for-1 trade. Who says no?
Not I.
Wait,
all right.
That's not what you're supposed to say.
I'm keeping Finney.
Thanks, man.
Okay. Darren, you know what? I did. Yeah, I did. I mean, I screwed that up, but because I said the wrong thing. The word's wrong.
Yeah, you said that wrong. Yeah. You were saying bring McJesus here at all costs, even at the detriment of the chemistry of our first line between Larkin and Mr. Irrelevant. I love it.
Just deadpan. No, bring McDavid, Mike. You don't get it. He's a superstar. All right, Darren House thrown out there. He wants Emmett Finney's goal song to be the Jaws theme.
You're not going to get any pushback from me. John Williams is one of my favorite Earthlings to ever grace this planet. So another excuse to hear him every time with the bottom. Bum, 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 bum. Absolutely.
I will allow it if, as we get closer to the holiday season, they change the goal song to Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Oh, okay.
And
that's
the River Bottom Nightmare Band.
People. Yeah. That's a deep cut for a Muppet Christmas Carol. If you guys don't know what Matt's talking about, which I expect you don't know what Matt's talking about because that's just for us. It's not even the Christmas Carol. It's the Muppet. What is it? One with Emmett.
It's just called Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. I brought this up a little bit, Mike. Edvinsson Seider reunited. some strong exits. This number came from the Athletic, 45 combined minutes.
So do you think that this is more about
I think it's about getting
like
Edvinsson
the pairings
going.
not doing super well, or was it about trying to give Edvinsson a boost? Because
I think
he had admittedly said he had kind of a slow start to the season, and that he wanted to be more productive. So is this about giving him a real partner?
Yeah, I think it's about turning Edvinsson back on because, we saw last season, like that was what I talked about earlier that was Todd's first move. He's like, these guys are good. Let's split them up. So it's not like what Edvinsson knows about hockey has escaped him. But I think there has been sort of an adjustment on what his goal was when he got out there as maybe less so being Simon Edvinsson and instead being the caretaker for Axel, who's a rookie. And I think you and I both like Axel. I think he does pop on the ice. He does seem to be turning in every night, our worst game scorer. But that being said, offensively, Axel looks good. I think it just kind of has turned into more of an assignment as opposed to go out there and play fucking hockey. So I think this will turn the play fucking hockey back on for Edvinsson. And at some point, this is not a to the end of the season pairing, unless we would have to go on quite the win streak. But this will get split up again. But I do think this is an Edvinsson turn back on again kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's to his benefit. And then I know we've talked a lot about it's not like we were kind of upset with the Red Wings defensive pairing because it's just like you're just kind of stuck trying to figure out, you don't have a full assortment of tools that you would, ideally want for a Stanley Cup contending team. But what I kind of like with Sherratt and Sandin Pellikka is we know Sherratt's not a big offensive defenseman, right? So he kind of understands his role as to, kind of be the old uncle, just keeping an eye on Sandin Pellikka. He goes out and plays on the playground. Go figure stuff out there. Go fall off the swing set. I'll be over here on my phone. I'll just make sure nothing serious happens to you. But you go make some mistakes out there, kid. You go learn what it's like to be a kid out there. And
up against,
I'll be right here if you need help.
Up against the boards, wearing jean shorts and smoking a dart.
Yeah, that's old Sherratt over there. Yeah. Sandin Pellikka's got the scabbed knees and the scabbed elbows, and he's just falling off of the playground. So I kind of like that pairing.
Puck starts going the other way. He just pulls a cigarette, flips it on.
He's talking to other uncles. Yeah, I gotta go pick him up. He's crying. I'll be right back. Give me a minute.
No, I kind of, what's funny too is like us being this team that's starting to suppress shots. Like we're seeing these not fantastic save percentages from John Gibson and Talbot, but they're also not
give up
seeing
enough shots. We got to get more shots on.
So it's hard for me to look at like we're failing here. But it definitely is something where it's like zone exits need to get a little bit tighter. And we need to, like, we have been doing so good. The game that, wait, did we go to a game? No. Did we?
Yes.
Was it us?
We saw the Florida Panthers game.
Okay. So in my head, then what I'm thinking of is that transition game and how dominant we were just preventing the puck from getting in, as opposed to some of these games where we are giving up these odd man rushes that are just nonstop, and then the second chances. And those are the things where it's like, those are the only times we're really like challenging John and Talbot, and they're also like impossible situations. But if we can get those shored up, I mean, you're really looking at something where, I don't know, if you have a forward that's playing at an MVP level and a structure that's built to prevent any sort of zone entry, I mean, what isn't a winning formula about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I did want to throw a few comments in there too. Dan B was really a big fan of the Emmett Otter drop. So Dan B, God bless you. And then Dixon said, "What's up, gents?" You guys think Seider has peaked? If you could only keep one, Seider or Ed? The second question is a lot easier. It's Seider. Because I don't know if there's a lot of.
I mean,
there's a lot of defensemen that you could build an entire like. I don't know if I want to even say philosophy, but like overall like attitude. Because nobody messes with Seider. You know what I mean? He hammers people. He's a bully out on the ice. There's not a lot of those dudes out there, so I definitely keep Seider. But your first question, do I think he's peaked? I think that his production defensively, I think we all agree he's awesome. But offensively, I think we all wanted to see more. I think he's peaked if he's only playing with Sherratt. But I think that his peak can, rise if he's playing with Edvinsson, or if they find a way to play him with Pellikka. I think he'll just have more opportunities and he'll be able to get some more points on the old score sheet. Matt, what do you think?
No, I totally agree. I think it should not be forgotten that Steve has failed Moritz Seider and Todd McLellan in putting together a more respectable defense. You talk about guys that have just the ability to sign wherever they want, but certainly there were players on the trade market that we weren't even a part of those conversations. So I think with what we have on this roster, it is looking good. And that comes back to the Todd McLellan conversation and the structure that's been built. And it turns into this, like, we just need these guys to be awake for 60 minutes. And this is a playoff team. And I would say a playoff team. I do want to emphasize that because those struggles with Sherratt, I don't know if I could rightly say playoff roster. But the way that Todd has his team playing and the production we're getting I'm going to put it again, who he's stuck with, I think he's doing a tremendous job. But go ahead.
No, I don't think that's, off base. I don't know if you want to try and connect it to the special team swing back here. Because, the power play and more importantly, the penalty kill has kind of decided the fate of this team. Just because our penalty kill lost us so many games last year because it was so inept. It just broke goalies. It broke defensemen. On offense, we're so exhausted trying to get the puck out of our own net, our own end. It was just this never-ending Ouroboros snake eating its own tail that we just could not break. And it just ultimately led to these massive losing streaks, confidence breaking, back breaking losing streaks that made you just feel like this entire Yzer plan was beyond redeeming. But now with a little bit of hope with the penalty kill, Matt. It makes it feel like, my God, maybe this 7-3 stretch, maybe we're not just catching good teams at bad times. Maybe we're not just stomping out the St. Louis Blues, who don't look like a very good hockey team. Maybe we can combine all these things, and this is just what an NHL schedule looks like, and we win the majority of the games that we play. But it takes, these kind of numbers on special teams, offensively and defensively.
Yeah, we're one position. We're 11th best power play as it stands right now.
And that's without Kane most of the time. So it's going to go up.
Right. And I do think one of the things I was calling out here too is like this last game, power play looked like it finally had some sharp puck movement, and we're really setting up some plays where this power play has been so much fun to watch these last couple of years, where sometimes we're watching this power play and we're like, wow, we could have scored like 5 or 6 times on this power play.
Well, I feel like a lot of people are watching the power play, right? The fans, the entire Red Wings bench, and usually the other team, because for some reason, when Kane touches the puck, everybody just sits there and watches.
Yeah. But yeah, it does look like we will. My best guess is no Kane for this whole West Coast trip, because he didn't make the trip out for these first 2 games. I can't imagine they're going to force it back for the Vegas game, where that one really scares me. So I think we'll be another week here without Kane, but it is incredibly important to find this power play with or without Kane, because He's an older guy. I think it's important to figure this out because next year, who knows what the Kane situation will be. I think that's super fair to call out. But think about what could be possible injury-wise for Kane again. Just being a little bit older, and if this is going to be a playoff team, you want to make sure he's healthy, even if it's not a devastating injury. You want to make sure that if this is a playoff team, you have Patrick Kane ready to go mid-April and going forward, depending on how long that goes. Now, I'm obviously jumping ahead quite a bit here, but those are things that winning teams think about, and I'm okay having those thoughts right now, not just being like, rush Kane back. We got to get as many wins as possible. But that being said, I think the main point here to land on, doing this without Kane, huge. Starting to look like they're getting some chemistry going, huge. The right line combination coming together, huge. So I'm expecting too, like we're gonna see something a little bit cleaner again tonight. They just had another opportunity to practice, and I don't know. I'm feeling good about these first two games. San Jose always feels like a trap, and then Vegas just scares the bejesus out of me. But yeah, that's where I just keep coming back to those 4 games. But glad to see the power plays.
No, I respect the hell out of the teams they're about to play. It's just, we're, for better or for worse, we are still looking at what I kind of was christening last week's episode, me problems versus you problems. And basically just trying to find a way to articulate, like, are we at a point where we, like, at our best, can we beat any team versus, is it just that the other team is just more talented than us? And, there's, even at our best, there's not much you can do about it. So it's like, I don't even care that we're playing Vegas and, they inarguably have more talent than we do. It's like, I want to figure out what this Red Wings apex is. And I still don't know if we've seen it yet this year, where the defense is rolling. And I think I don't think we can see it until Kane is back. But I would at some point under McLellan, this year's iteration of the team, see what it looks like.
Mike, we're a bottom 3 PDO team right now. Like, sometimes,
and by the way, Dixon just threw in there, we can win any game. A series is a different story, though. Yeah,
that would be true last year too.
Yeah,
I would say. I wanted to point out this low PDO, right?
But
so
real quick before you get into it, Brad says, I'm always watching the peepee. Thanks, Brad. There's a peepee. Brad's got his eyes on it. Appreciate it. All right, Matt. Sorry. Go ahead.
All right, keep us updated, Brad. There's another one popping up.
Updates. Yeah, we need to know about it.
Bottom 3 in PDO, Mike. This of course is 5-on-5. We're bottom 3. This of course is that measurement of the added totals of your shot percentage and your save percentage. So you're looking to be around 100. Sometimes when a team like the Red Wings is performing really well, you might click those numbers, look at the PDO, and see a super high save percentage or a super high shot percentage. But right now, the Wings are not that. So the reason why this is almost good news, and to your point of trying to see what this team really truly is that we haven't seen it yet. And you want to see this at 100, this PDO, to at least say, like, okay, this, when everything's going right and the shot suppression's there, the shots going to the back of the net are there, when everything's moving in the right direction, are we still consistently getting the wins? Who's stepping up that they're adding a couple extra goals? And, is Gibson or Talbot, are they running into a couple of straight shutouts or, shutout and a 1 goal against sort of run kind of thing? Those haven't happened yet. And it's kind of, for these first 10 games to see us at 7-3, see us as an underperforming PDO team where things could start to turn around for us. And goddamn, they could turn around. Also, we could in these next 10 games, let's say we do pop off as like a 105 PDO team. And looking at the way that this team's structured, like that hasn't happened yet. Now, the Blackhawks had a pretty good start to the season. Mike, they're the top PDO team in the league. They have an insane save percentage, an insane shot percentage 5-on-5. They are way overperforming. Just want to remind you, Mike, still not top 3 in their own division, but they have a big hill to climb. Jeff Blashill's doing he's doing some good work over there. But what I just think at this point, to your point of we haven't seen the, what is this team truly? Like, have we seen everything running at 100%? It always kind of seems like one thing's working and maybe 2 other things aren't, kind of thing. But there's still that space. We can at least confirm statistically that hasn't happened yet. Maybe for a period, but not for a lengthy period of time. For 10 games, you're about 3% under where you'd want to be to see a fully functioning, motors working, offense, defense, neutral zone, special teams, goaltending. It's nice that we have a statistic that can help us measure that. Well, I don't know.
I would just say the last point on that too is like when you look at the head, that was the only thing I would push back on what you said a moment ago. Again, just looking ahead at what's in store for the Red Wings schedule. It's like for me, I can't harp on it enough. It's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter if we're playing Edmonton or we're playing St. Louis. Tonight we got the Kings. I want to see an A+ version of this roster. What does that look like? And it honestly doesn't matter who the opponent is. I just want to be able to understand and point to, oh, okay, that's what the best possible Red Wing game looks like. So win or lose, playing the elite teams or playing an average team, that's what I want the most out of this, like maybe next 10, draw of next 10 games here, because you do definitely get a mixed bag, right? Kings, Anaheim, who's off to a good start. Sharks, so you get to see, the Red Wings kind of play down to the competition, or, under McLellan, under this roster, under this amount of time invested in these players, are you going to dominate this team like you should? And then you get real tests, right? Vegas, Rangers trying to crawl out of a hole, Chicago being a top, 5-on-5 team, Anaheim rematch, and then Buffalo, who, tried to squash our nuts and snuff out all our enthusiasm for this season. We talked about it, I think, last week's episode. There's narrative for every single one of these games. And for this team to ever play entitled is mind-blowing. So let's see what you guys actually look like at an A+ level. Let's do it tonight against the Kings. Historically, we don't have a great time going and traveling on the West Coast. So let's try to break that this year with McLellan. How about that?
I think we'll make quicker points here. We'll kind of sail off. Goaltending has been good, not great. I kind of like the take from Max this past week. Results are solid, but the position hasn't separated itself yet. So it's, again, just continuing the point. And that's why I kind of wanted to ride over this a little bit quicker. And I've also been bringing it up the whole episode. Just be interesting to see maybe something new comes out of this West Coast trip. I'd also highly recommend Max put out a pretty long article for Emmett Finney. What's funny is the result of this too, like on social media, has been some talking heads pushing back against Emmett Finney, and it's just wild. Like the Jay Freshes of the world put together a whole Emmett Finney graph to show you, Mike, that the expected goals against per 60 ain't great when Emmett Finney and Dylan Larkin are on the ice. But our good buddy Jay Fresh forgot to take into account the fact that they have the hardest competition every night, and they're still scoring. So Emmett Finney's got a hell of a challenge in front of him. I highly recommend, again, you guys check out that article. But let's run through Griffins, real quick. Actually, skip that top line. That's a problem with AI.
That's a whole hour podcast. That first line. Yeah. Jesus.
I mean, yeah. If you guys are listening and not here on YouTube with us, Comfort Bergeron line 9% expected goals for percentage needs to be reset. Part of the reason that this fits in here is like, are there opportunities to improve that with some of the Griffins players? Well, it got started with Brantig Nygaard getting sent down to Grand Rapids, but Mazur's hurt. But it's Danielson is an opportunity. And Mike, we've been in the all the Red Wings podcasts are in a pick a player to do well this game / this week. Mike, we're on our third week in a row picking John Leonard. He is keeping us at the top of our division. He is killing it. Scored again on his first night that we picked him for that third week in a row. Look, I'm not saying Leonard comes up and we start scoring, but something's got to give. And right now, Kopp and Comfer have been on my shit list for years. They got my boy Brantig Nygaard sent down. Things didn't improve with Bergeron. And Mike, you make one change, there's two constants, and the line still plays like shit. Yeah. You tell me what we got to do next.
I gotta tell you, Comfer has not really endeared himself to us. Because at least Kopp has a couple months last year where he looked productive and like he could lead a line. I think part of what makes McLellan hesitate from hitting the boggle button completely on the roster, the lines for the bottom six, is that Van Riemsdyk has looked so good playing with the giant goofs. So Van Riemsdyk and oak trees, like it really is working out. There's no reason to kind of undo that. So these three guys got to figure it out, or, you know, we're just waiting for Danielson to come up and take somebody's job.
But yeah, I skimmed over this, but with that Leonard hot start, Danielson looking good in his first couple of games, Ammo's looking pretty good, but all of this is combined with a hot goaltending start too. Mike, we're undefeated with all of those things down in Grand Rapids, so things are moving pretty well. All right, what else we got here? Another good article I'd recommend from The Athletic. Again, I'm trying to run through this because we're at an hour, but
yeah, I mean,
Todd's coming
McLellan,
back to LA.
He's also such a mercenary at this point. I don't even know if he's gonna really, you know, maybe they'll do a static photo of him on the Jumbotron. I don't think he's really gonna pay attention. Like, he's got to figure out these Red Wing pairings. He's got like two lines he's got to figure out. He's got too much going on the Red Wing side to really think about the Kings again.
And real quick, too, while we were talking about Grand Rapids, forgot to shout out Hockey Town West podcast. They're the ones that put together this little, they're calling it Ignite the Nest. So at Hockey Town W Pod on X, on Twitter, whatever. Go check it out. Okay, let's summarize. And then we'll let you guys go watch this game. 4-game trip again. Kings, Ducks, Sharks, Celebrini, Golden Knights. I'm terrified of. We've mentioned only too many times McLellan's return to LA. Gibson returns to Anaheim. Maybe that's our shutout streak begins there. Let's see what happens. I did kind of like this comment. I think came from Todd talking about travel fatigue and tougher matchups. So now we're really going to test, like, can we be consistent here with going to the West Coast? Like, it's going to be more than just playing the 60 minutes. It's turning that out and mixing in that challenge of being on the road for so long and being on the West Coast for so long. Those boys, Mike, they got to get their nap time in. And I said it at the start of the episode, Mike. I'm just saying, let's split the trip at least. Anything more than that, gravy. Even less than that, I'm still not going to be too upset.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the Red Wings have more like the wings of a golden eagle and less the wings of a gossamer butterfly. That's kind of my goal here.
Dixon throws out there, y'all should do mini rants after each game. Dixon, I've thought about it. It might happen.
I don't hate the idea, but I'm getting a lot of dark circles under my eyes. And at some point, we got to figure out some time to sleep here, but I don't hate the idea.
Dan B, don't underestimate a good nap. All right, we're gonna let you guys go watch that Kings game. I think we got a half hour here, 20 minutes. Jared throws out there, as long as they don't pull a Barzal.
Oopsie.
Oh, and I already pulled up Dan B's comment. All right, guys, Mike, your camera's gone. I don't know what happened, but
Oh no,
it's okay. We're still. Jared throws out there, lol. Mike just dipped. He's ready for bed, guys.
No, he's not. Oh,
there he is.
Now it's back. I don't know what's going on.
All right, we'll see you guys later, and enjoy the game. And hey, it's we got 2 worse than middling penalty kills coming up against a power play that's looking a little bit stronger with LA and Anaheim kind of shit in the bed so far. So fingers crossed, a couple power play goals these next few games.
I'm optimistic. Let's do it. Let's get those circles under our eyes and get a Red Wing victory.
All right, see you guys later.